What I'm doing today is fine tuning. I obviously have been shooting my bow, and there's some very, very basic things you need to remember towards archery season. Done it back in the early days. Grab my bow out of the closet, grab some arrows, an assorted bunch of different arrows, different broadheads, go to the tree stand and wonder why I miss. First of all, make sure when you're practicing that you're using the same type of arrows, the same weight broadhead as you are your practice tips. That way you're shooting together. What I'm trying to do today is get me a good tight group and make sure everything's adjusted properly, because the little mistakes you make close amplify. You're nervous, your heart's beating, you do things you might not normally do. And I'm getting in there and I'm getting tight. I'm trying to shoot a really tight group. I'm going to shoot from my stand here in a little while where I have seen animals coming, and practice, practice, practice. And now I've got a group right here that I'm beginning to get happy with. Now bows today have come a long way. You know, I used to shoot an 80-pound bow to try to get my pin gap down when I was shooting competitive. Now we take it for granted. They're almost like shooting a rifle. Everything's so precise, the sights are so great, and you can be shooting a group in no time. But you really need to get out and practice and practice and practice so that everything's that muscle memory. You're there when that deer comes in. There's no doubt about it. It's just going to happen. Now, my group is tight. I like that. I've been shooting just a little bit right. I'm bringing it back in, and that bow sets around and gets knocked around. The day before you go out, make sure you really, really shoot. Maybe even that morning, if you can find a place, things can get knocked off. I'm getting happier, but I'm not there yet. Still just a hair right. I still have to come back to the left. All right, I'm gonna work on that. That little extra time you spend, man, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the animal, as I've said a million times. Now, we've been shooting a lot, got the groups like we want them, but I tell you what, there's no better practice than to be in your deer stand where you've been seeing a lot of deer, where you're gonna plan on being opening morning, putting a target where you've been seeing deer go through. If you see a lot of areas, move your target around. If it's a high traffic area, path, where they're going to and from bedding, to food, water, whatever. Now this particular situation, I've been seeing a lot of them right out in this field. So what I'm gonna do is practice shooting. Now here's what you need to really think about when you're shooting, but you think about the angle. The target that I'm shooting at is gonna be way down. So you have to visualize the line that arrow's taking. If you shoot really low on an animal, which I used to do, and you're thinking you're taking a hard shot, that's gonna go in the very bottom of that animal. If you got to think about aiming just a little bit higher, and think about that track of that arrow, getting the top of that one lung and the complete other lung, and you will have a good killing shot. Now I've been practicing same size broadheads, shooting my broadheads, same size practice tips. Now I'm going to shoot my target from the stand. All right, I've got my bow tuned in exactly like I want it. I considered the angle, shot down where I'm hoping we're gonna see that deer, considered and brought in the actual idea in my head of that angle that I'm gonna have to shoot for, the vital areas. Know the vital areas of a deer. Look at this diagram right here. These are the vital areas of deer. You imagine it shooting from this angle. Think about where that arrow's gonna go. But anyway, I have done my homework, and you know, it's hard for me to believe. This is just a couple days before deer season. It's hard for me to believe it's actually the 2011 archery season. It's time to put some meat in the freezer. That's where practice pays off. That deer did not suffer. It lasted about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and it was dead on the ground. Well, we had a successful first day of deer hunting. Now, the wind was dead wrong, but nonetheless, we had a young deer walk in. It wasn't too bright. And that's just fine with me because I'm gonna put several deer in the freezer this year, hopefully. I might smoke one of those whole hams off of that deer. But hey, we got a whole season ahead of us. Hopefully we'll have a nice, cool fall. I'm gonna be doing a whole lot of this right here on camera and off. And we got several more bow hunts coming up. One of them with Jenny Richardson, who killed a big 9-pointer last year. We'll talk more about that later. But today, I'm gonna get this guy in the freezer, and I might even go again tomorrow.